Hello, everyone. Happy Sunday. We are getting ready to talk about some more podcasting stuff. Let's see. And I'm going to show you some new features that I discovered on StreamYard. So, good morning, everyone. This is Coach Kat, and we are going to talk about you choosing to have a career in podcasting or to use it as an addition to your business. So let's see if I can get in the box. Get in the box. All right. So one day last week, I posted a question on my regular Facebook page asking the asker, when you want to know, can you make money with podcasting? What are you really asking? And there are several different responses, but the one that I focused on for this conversation is about creating a career out of podcasting, and it is very possible. So the short answer is yes. You can make a living from podcasting. That's what you want to do. Um, if you want to just have podcasting as an addition, as part of your current business, we can talk about that as well. So our Sunday morning podcast talk is about podcasting as a career or as an addition to your business. You like that? It's going across the bottom there. I like that. Nice. So I posted in the group a few things that you would need to consider if you're going to do podcasting as your career. Researching, editing, being able to find interviews, finding content constantly to talk about. It's you have to, have a system to do that. So I would recommend, if you're thinking of having podcasting as your full-time job or as your career, start out part-time and take baby steps into it, because if you think of it as if you're going to go and be hired on a job, starting a business is not the same way as starting a job, and you have to have a learning curve, a little bit of space, a lot of bit of space for you to master an area before you move on to the other. And most times in life, you don't get to do one thing at a time. You're building and developing, you're learning and mastering, you're a student and the teacher a lot of times at the same time. So while you can't just separate life and just do one thing only and nothing else, your life is like spaghetti noodles. It's going to be interwoven. So if you're thinking of podcasting as a career, I recommend starting it part time. Part time could look like doing a blog of your own. It could look like being a part of someone else's blog, being a part of someone else's podcast. You're not the host, you're the co host or the guest host. Maybe you come in and talk about a topic that you're an expert on. And you do that in a gradual process, because in order for you to be successful, you have to have people who pay attention to what you do, who will tune in live, who will tune in later to what it is that you're doing. So you need to build relationships. Now, if you already have relationships, you already have people that will follow what you're saying, that are listening to what you're saying, that are responding to what you're saying, then you don't have to worry about building your audience and learning how to engage with your audience. There are some things you're going to already know how to do, and there's going to be things you're going to need to learn how to do. So my recommendation is to start part-time. Start part-time, trying out the different parts of podcasting. I wish that I did it. I guess I can't say I wish. I tried lots of different careers. I tried lots of different positions within careers to see if this is what I wanted. I do know I like to care for people, but I don't necessarily want to do your personal care. I may want to be an advocate for people. I may want to do things that make it fair for everyone. Yeah, right. So I've tried those things, but it's not really acceptable to move around a lot from job to job. People are looking for you to be stable, to get somewhere and plant seeds and to grow and to help develop in that area. But maybe I didn't stay long enough to develop in any particular area. So I don't know. I did at one point worry about what people thought about me having a part-time job because sometimes in my head, having a part-time job meant you needed extra money. If you needed extra money, then you're poor or you're struggling. So of course that took some mindset shifts over the years. So whatever you may be telling yourself, maybe you're thinking podcasting is going to be your way out of what you're currently doing. I don't recommend that. I don't recommend you leaving any job for another job just because you don't like the last job. I would recommend that you become a person who takes pride in what they do no matter where they are, whether you're volunteering or being paid or doing a job you love or doing a job that you would rather not do. In all of the jobs and all of the career dips in and out that I've done, the most valuable thing that I've walked away with is being able to say with pride, I can put my name on whatever work I've completed for a company. So if you find yourself with the same mindsets that I had, thinking that you're struggling, you're poor, and you may be struggling and you may be poor, but you don't have to stay in those situations. I felt like it was gonna keep me stuck if I had a part-time job, but there's magic in a part-time job because you don't have the responsibility of a full-time person. You're there to help, and you may really be working. You're on a part-time job, you're working. So yes, you're doing full work, but not on a 40-hour plus basis. So maybe it's 35 hours a week now for full-time. Um, Podcasting requires you to be on the lookout for stories. Sometimes when I'm doing podcasting or as I'm doing podcasting, I feel like I'm not keeping up with everything. There's so much news, and then sometimes there's no news. And then you have to decide, what do you want to talk about? It may not be news, may not be community affairs, it may be pop culture. Whichever way you want to use your podcast platform, you have to have resources to constantly keep that going. You're going to have sometimes when it gets a little boring, gets a little slow. I won't say boring. Things aren't really hopping and jumping, and it may even seem like people aren't even interested. But over 12 years, I noticed that it's like in cycles. Maybe Monday they're not really that hot, but you want to make sure you're putting something out every day in some form, whether you made a video that you want to represent today, maybe you want to go live today, maybe you want to write some new content today or share some old content and with a new point of view today. But you want to continue to be present and you want to continue to document when are people active in your world. You can read online and they give you the general times when people are on social media, but are on social media at 8 a.m., noon, and 8 p.m. may not be your crowd. When I was doing my show, I found that people were online more overnight. Now that I'm restarting my show, I stayed up late a couple of nights and I don't really see people online like they used to be. Like it's like maybe people have a life now or they're going to sleep or maybe I don't know, but it was 12 years ago and it seems like the nightlife was hot and people wanted to go out and be online talking. And now you better catch them before 11 p.m. because they are going to get some rest. So if that was my method of finding contacts late at night, I would have to find a new method because that method dried up as far as seeing people active and doing things and being engaging. So now my audience may as early as 7 a.m. and they may also check back in about 2, 3 o'clock. And then after that, they may check in again throughout the evening. So it may be from 6 p.m. until 10 p.m. So you have to decide, not decide, you have to notice when your audience is active for you. The time that my audience is active for me is different. Um, Choosing a time to air your content. It doesn't matter in our on demand world. You can do your recording, you can do your live. And even if no one shows up now, the beauty of video and audio, being able to record it and people understanding on demand. Thank you, Netflix. They can binge watch your content. So your job is to create the content, make it available, and repurpose it, represent it. And once people catch on to it, you just jump in and talk. Don't worry that it took them a year, 5 years before they recognized what you're working on. In talking with different people in the media world, whether they're technology people, whether they're other podcasters, maybe they're mainstream radio, maybe they're mainstream television. In talking with different people, they have some similar methods on collecting information and repurposing it. One friend talked with me and introduced the manila folder. And that sounds, outdated because we have technology, electronic technology. Technology isn't just limited to computers and electronics, but we've moved from the manila folder technology to, I guess, a notepad on your laptop, but I haven't. I still use notebook paper and ink pen. And so the manila folder was refreshing to me. Someone still appreciates that folder. But topics that maybe you've heard about for the first time and you say, I don't really know where to begin researching this, put that topic in a manila folder. You may know that that topic is something people are talking about, but you don't know enough to really get into the conversation. One of the topics that was brought to me was Human Month, which I think is January. So if this January you heard about human trafficking, you understand it's something that's a problem, but you don't know how to find the root of the problem, how to find someone to talk to about the problem. Maybe you do. I'm using this as an example, but you don't know where to begin. But you know that January is the month for this topic. So put it in your manila folder, label January, and anytime throughout the year that you find information on human trafficking, just put it in that folder. You don't have to know what to do with it. You just may not be the one in the conversation this time. So if you have a fear of missing out, then you may be disappointed and may push that topic to the side. But if you use the manila folder, thank you, Jim, for that. If you use the manila folder, next January, you will be in the conversation. And this problem won't go away right away. Not that we don't want it to. I would love for every problem, everything that we think is bad, I wish that we could wipe it right out and then everybody could just be happy because we're all waiting for something to stop happening so that we can start being happy, right? So stop all the bad stuff so we can start being happy. So I wish I could do that. But that's not the case. By the time we hear about something and, just general conversation, not being able to attach it to a root or to a source, then we realize that this has been happening. We're just finally getting the news in the regular world. Unless you've been directly affected by a topic, you're removed from it and you may not know how to respond to it. So being a lifelong student is something with any job. I'm saying today to choose a, I'm talking about today choosing a career in podcasting, but choosing a career in anything, you would need to be a lifelong learner. I would even recommend if you're thinking of doing a career change, and I know you're here because I'm talking about podcasting, but this advice can work anywhere. So if you're thinking of a career change, podcasting was one of the things that you're considering, and I'm here to share with you how to turn this into a career for you. However, if podcasting is not quite the thing that you end up wanting to do, the things that I'm talking about still apply. If you want to start a new career, see if there's a part time way to get some experience, to get a feel for that job. One, because society still sort of frowns on you hopping around from job to job. So, oh, and society also frowns on you not having a good reason why you quit the last job to go to the new job. So if you've been on a job for 2 weeks and you started another job and they say, why did you leave that last job for 2 weeks? You really hadn't been there long enough for much to happen, much learning. So you can't really say, well, I have 2 weeks of experience. That's a lot, right? Not when someone can come in easily with years of experience. There are things that we're all interested in. I'm a very curious person, and I want to know how things work. All things I want to know. So I've learned to volunteer, to do internships, and not just because society says that looks bad, but because I'm curious. And then I learned that I'm not going to be here long if I don't like it. So I don't really want to go through a long paperwork process, and I don't want to be in a lot of training. So if I'm going to spend more time in training than on the actual job, this may not be the one I want to try out right now, because sometimes I want to be able to get in and out. That's what I know about me. So with me being a podcaster, it allows me to be an honorary employee sometimes so that I can get an inside look of what's going on and see if I would like this job. Would I like working here? You have people on every job, whether you work remotely or in person. So that just means you have more FaceTime or less FaceTime, but there are still other humans that you're going to deal with. So if people get on your nerves, podcasting may not be the thing for you because you say, well, I'm going to do podcasting and I'm just going to talk. Well, people are going to say things back to you eventually. And do you know how to deal with those things? That's where public relations come in. How to either use what's been said to you or against you, or how to ignore it. And after a while of ignoring stuff, you end up saying something back. And do you want that to be really what makes you up? For those of you that are on jobs now and you say, I don't think that my behavior outside of my job should matter. If you're going to do podcasting, your behavior completely matters. Yes, I'm miss this needs to be said, but it's how it needs to be said, you know? Sometimes I say things that quickly a public relations person says to me, take that down. Don't say that. Fix that. And so being able to say what I mean and mean what I say the first time and to not have to do a lot of retractions, I try to be careful before I just run out there and say something. You can say something among your friends and they say, oh, you should have a show and put that out there. Okay. What are the consequences of people not knowing you and you saying whatever you want to say? Is your skin thick enough to take a response from someone you don't know who will judge your raw opinion? And if you're responding raw with raw, is that what you want? So you're creating things. You're the one that is the boss. So you may say, okay, well, if it offends people, it offends people. And I'm okay with that. And I'm okay with them saying things back that may offend me or will offend me. But for others, you may not be that way. And with podcasting, it's still becoming its own thing, but it's a media outlet. Think of newspapers, magazines, look at the history of where those media outlets have come from and where they are right now. And that can give you a guesstimate on the life of podcasting. So I'm guessing podcasting is going to be around a while. Everyone who's doing podcasting right now will not still be doing podcasting a year from now, 2 years from now, or in the moment that things look up for them. Podcasting may be something to do until you figure out the next thing to do, and that's okay as well. Podcasting as a career is not for everyone. You would need to be creative if you don't have journalism as a background, because this is in the field of journalism and writing intensive classes and research intensive classes. So if you have not favored reading a lot, researching a lot, being open to other people's opinion, while you are the person that's going to have the final say, you may not be the one who knows how to deal with what comes up first, second, and third. There are painful things and hurtful things and rude things that may come up. There are very happy things that are not always talked about, and there are learning things and growing pains. And while you are the messenger, you will be experiencing those things that you're talking about. Are you ready to be transparent? Maybe you already are transparent, and podcasting is going to be another vehicle for you. So I'm going to stop there for a moment. If there are any questions, please post them in the comments and I will get to those questions. And I was just touching on podcasting as a career. But if you're looking at podcasting to be an addition to your business, like we have Regina, actually, we have two Reginas in the group. One Regina is an interior decorator, and the other Regina is an attorney. I'm thinking that they love what they're doing in their work. And they may, and I could be wrong, but I'm guessing that they don't want to become a full time podcaster. They want to enhance what they're already doing. When you have your core of what you're doing, you don't want to change that. You don't want to turn that into something else. That's your core. That's your main idea. Being a family practice, a family law attorney. What am I thinking? Doctors? Being a family attorney. Am I saying it right, Regina? Help me out. Being a family attorney, family law attorney, she'll fix me up in a minute. You don't want to stop helping families, and you don't want to stop, going to court and helping them, work out having a family or doing an adoption or whatever the paperwork is or the process is or the experiences that you have. You don't want to give that up, but more people that maybe don't know that you're there and you're thinking about marketing. So, in your business, adding podcasting as an addition to what you're doing is marketing, in my opinion. We are able to market in a longer conversation than a 60-second commercial will allow you. In 60 seconds, you can get a lot in, but there's another 60-second commercial and a 15-second commercial and then a 30-second commercial, and then the main program's back on and they've forgotten about you already, maybe, unless you're able to run that commercial over and over and over again. However, if you have a podcast of your own that you host, that you give one day a week to, that you give that time to let people window shop you, because an attorney or an interior decorator, without some creativity, people don't know that you're there unless someone else says, hey, go do business with this person. An interior decorator would have to have a storefront. Where if we're in COVID and we're slowly, getting into shopping and being among others and socializing and not shopping online, but shopping in person. Um, how will people know to hire her services if they're not out and about? So what can she do? Meet them where they are online. And I think that's many of our dilemmas because we used to have something called the phone book. We may still have a phone book. I saw a phone book a few years ago and it was like that thin, but phone books used to be that thick. Now they're like that. See, there's a big difference. That means a lot of information is no longer in this physical book, but it's online now. People are online. People are streaming classes, movies, music, hosting conversations, having game nights all online. This isn't all that's happening, but I remember a few years ago saying, hey, we're going to do this online activity was not as enticing as having people come in person because we love to be around each other. We do. And for people who say, I don't like people, you love not being around people. So these people have to go gather somewhere so you could not be around them. But now they're all doing the same thing. They're all online. So for those of us who like to be invited to things that we might not show up to, that's kind of out because everybody's in. Back on point though. If you want to use podcasting as a way to let people know what you're doing, look at it as marketing, not as a whole business structure. Being a business already or being in business already, you're thinking of new department, have a merchandise department. And even as an attorney, you can have t-shirts, you can have mugs or water bottles with quotes or your business name on them. Maybe you've given those things away in the past, but if you're thinking about podcasting as a way to expand your reach, to connect with people who didn't know you were there before, or somebody maybe maybe has had a consultation with you, and now they're listening to a podcast that is more of an extension of the topic during that consultation, not their specific information, but just I had a consultation once with someone and they asked about this. So I thought I'd expand the topic and talk more about it. Maybe, right? So you use that. So your merchandise, maybe you have, and I love this mug. My cousin gave me this mug. Maybe today your merchandise is Love Yourself mugs. That's your mug. You made it up. And you want to give that to every person on your podcast or you want to make it available for purchase. So this mug will come with an ink pen and a notepad and a bag. But I'm an attorney, yes, with merchandise. So now you have people who have purchased your merchandise who are spreading your message by carrying that bag on their shoulder or writing with that pen or writing on that pad and sending a note. We don't think about merchandise unless we're a retail store, but every person who's thinking of being in business or is in business, there is an opportunity for you to have some kind of merchandise that extends the reach of your business. A podcast is a way to extend the reach of your business. So you don't have to take it on as a career. You don't have to take it on as something. Oh my goodness, I have to start this whole other business. I got to decide if I'm going to be incorporated as an LLC or an INC. Am I going to be for profit or nonprofit? No. Whatever you're already doing in business, continue to do that. Make podcasting a department. You don't know if you want to put effort into trying to see if podcasting can make money for you. Making money for you is not breaking even. It may cost you $50 a month to have your podcast, which sounds like not much money. But if you have a guest commentator and they pay you $50 a month, you didn't make money, you broke even. You made money that's going to cover the expenses of the podcast. And even if you have two commentators join your podcast that's advertising for your business, are these people in align with what you're trying to do with your podcast? Or have you changed your mind and decided I'm just going to make $50 here and there when I can? That's not a strategy. That's not turning a profit. That's haphazard. That's not a business. It's just something to do. So in the case of our attorney Regina, who's going to have merchandise and she's going to have her podcast be an addition, not a replacement of her practice, maybe what she does is extend it to other attorneys who's also looking for a way to have an extension to their business without creating a whole other business, maybe. So then these attorneys rent space from attorney Regina, and then they extend their message. So one is family law, one is bankruptcy, one is criminal, and there are other categories of attorneys that I'm not naming and can't think of in this moment. But she can now have Regina's courtroom, and all these attorneys come and bring these different perspectives. So we're talking about attorneys, we're talking about a longer marketing message, we're talking about collaboration now, but we're not talking about starting a new business. We're not even talking about a new part-time job. We're talking about creative marketing. So you can look at podcasting as a career, and that means that maybe you want it to be a teacher, you want it to be a journalist, maybe you have a background in communications or media. So podcasting is right in there for you. Podcasting just didn't exist when you were doing your training, but it's here now. And it's not a big difference from the other media outlets that's out there. It's just a different presentation. Let me know if you have any comments or questions. Please put them below. I don't see any comments or questions, and that is perfectly all right for now. I know for me, I have to think about things sometimes. Sometimes I have instant questions. Sometimes I have to come back and ask my questions later, and that's all right. That is all right. And I want to thank everyone who is tuning in now and will tune in later. I want to thank everyone for being here today. It means a lot to have a space to share this information in. I will do a 10 a.m. talk on the entrepreneur lifestyle on Wednesday. I'm doing this every week at 10 a.m. It is a complimentary class. It keeps me in practice and it also helps me connect with other people. And if you have additional questions, that's a good time to do it. If you haven't looked into hiring me as a business asset for you to help you extend your brand, to expand your brand, to help you with your podcast, if you haven't considered hiring me yet, I'm open for business, looking to be hired to help you grow your brand, looking to be hired to help you extend your reach in your community. Connect with me. You can always inbox me on whatever platform you see my videos on. Just inbox me. I'm here, open for business. If you said, I have thought about hiring you, I don't see money in my budget for me to do that, that is not a problem. That is why I offer these free sessions, these free groups, so that until you are able to add me to your budget, I'm giving you information. You can try it out. Try out the information I'm giving you. You have opportunities to ask me questions when I'm posting these videos. So you don't have to have money right now. I mean, if you want to officially hire me, yes, you need money. But I'm giving enough information during these free sessions to help you get started with at least trying things out to see if you even want to go any further. See, I talked about in the beginning of this week's podcast talk, try it out before you make a commitment. How can you try out a business coach or a marketing plan or a marketing strategist if there's no way to sample it before you actually have to put money into it? If to do that, if there's no video, if there's no written content, if there's not a infographic with pictures that lead you through the problem to the solution. Yes, you're not going to get everything in one whop. You won't get everything in one whop if you paid for it. But if you show up and invest your time, then you will eventually get the information, get enough information to make a decision that this is for you or not for you. Or maybe my way isn't for you. And you need to say, well, I like the idea of podcasting. I don't really care for Coach Kat's way. However, there is someone else I do like their way of doing it, and I'm going to go that way. That's fine too. This information is here not to overwhelm you, but to help you get a head start to see if this is really what you want to do. I want to say thank you so much for being here with me on this Sunday. Thank you for being a part of the Sunday podcast talk. And until next Sunday for this conversation, have a super week. If you want to spend time with me during the midweek on Wednesday at 10 a.m., I will be online. And this time it will be through YouTube. So I'm doing different platforms. So I'm showing up in different places. I'm diversifying where I'm reaching out and I'm doing it consistently. So if you'd like that information, I will leave it in the comments in the group. And if you are watching this video after I've recorded it and you are not in my group, inbox me and I will make sure that you get the link so that you can be in the class on Wednesdays at 10 a.m. Again, thank you so much and have a super day.